We got to talk, though, about his window as a 49ers
They
head coach.
believe in themselves. They're confident, but they're like they're overconfident to the point where you can't talk and act this way without hardware to back it up. You
Right.
just can't. The Grizzlies do stuff like that. The Rockets do. The Dodgers. Well, the Dodgers did win, but you know what I'm saying, right? You at some
I do.
point you gotta have the ring to back it up.
And do you think they get it?
Well, frankly, I don't. As long as Kyle's here, and that's why I feel like it's his culture. It's his demons in the playoffs, in the big games. So what I would do is what Al Davis did with John Gruden 20 years ago: trade him for a couple ones, couple twos, and be ruthless. I mean, that's what Philly does. They go through coaches every few years, but they're a machine. And look at them now. So I think what makes the Niners special is their roster. And Kyle does get a lot of credit for putting it together. But has he maximized the roster? At times. At times he has. In the 12-game winning streak, yes. But not for an entire season. And he can't keep a quarterback freaking healthy, I swear. I'm looking at Philly being like, hey, Shane Steichen, don't go to Indianapolis, man. Here. What do you think of Trey Lance? Can you turn him into Jalen Hurts? You coach Justin Herbert. You coach Jalen Hurts. What is your professional opinion? Can you get him on the phone? Can you do like an informal interview with Shane Steichen at like a Ruth's Chris or just over Zoom? What does he think? I want to know. Because with Kyle, I feel like he's good. It just feels like Jim Harbaugh all over again, man. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, they're in the NFC Championship game, but there is something about this guy that's going to prevent him from ever being a champion in his life. There is something. And look at Jim. Like what is he, almost 60? He's in Michigan. I mean, great year this year. He had a 13-game winning streak. But he's not going to seal the deal ever. And I wonder if Kyle will. I mean, I can't predict the future, but I would have to bet against him. I'm shorting Kyle Shanahan.
So then, if you're thinking that way, what is the window for him as the 49ers head coach? Do you think they move on after his contract, even before his contract, or do you think they stay as well?
That's an interesting question.
Get paired together.
To me, like what the Eagles would do is they would fire him if he missed the playoffs. They fired Andy Reid when he missed the playoffs. They fired Doug Peterson like when he missed the playoffs, 3 years after he won a Super 2 years? So they're ruthless. That being said, 3 NFC Championship games, what happened with Harbaugh, the way fans called him, the way Jed was ridiculed after all of that, I feel like what they could do, give him, it's not what I would do, but I just don't see Jed being bold here. I think was he signed for 3 more years? Is he under contract for 3 more years?
2025 is when his contract expires.
Just don't extend him again. And if he wins a Super Bowl, then extend him. But otherwise, you get 3 more chances, dude. You've already had 6. So it'll give you 9 chances. Like the Star Wars, the entire series, all 9 episodes, you get. And if you can't get it done, like maybe they're just like, all right, man, we're just not going to renew your contract. Isn't that what Philly did with Andy Reid? I don't think they actually fired Andy Reid. I think they were like, hey, man, we gave you 15 years. You're a great coach, but it's not going to happen. You need a new fresh start. We need a fresh start. And frankly, it was the best thing that ever happened to Andy Reid. It was the best thing that happened to the Eagles. And I think it's interesting that they're facing each other now. And now the narrative will either be that the Eagles were hella stupid for getting rid of Andy Reid, or they were pretty smart for getting rid of Andy Reid. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, and to me, I think that I do agree in some semblance. Now, me and you, we both know we have kind of differing opinions on Kyle Shanahan. I do think of him as in a higher regard than you for several reasons, but I've said this, and I think I'm just going to continue doubling down on it because it's what I believe. If Kyle Shanahan can't deliver the Super Bowl by 2025, by the time his contract is over, I think the 49ers have to move on. And it's not because they have a better option, because honestly, in my opinion, I don't think there's a better option out there than Kyle Shanahan, given the resume that he's had, not only with his record, but also with his roster building, his staff management, and the way that he's created a culture where players want to come to San Francisco. But to me, I do think that the number one goal is a Super Bowl, and you can only get there and miss so many times. So to me, I personally think the 49ers would move on from Shanahan at the end of the 2025 season if they don't make it. Would I do it? Not necessarily, but I think that's a logical situation.
Here's why he's so frustrating. It's an offense league. It's an offensive league. He really might be the best offensive coordinator in the league.
Right.
If you just look at his ideas, he seems to be the most creative. So what an asset to have in your organization. The problem is he still hasn't demonstrated that he's a head coach. And so, to me, he could succeed. He came so close in Atlanta. He needs a strong head coach over him to just edit his ideas and say, dude, 98% of this is money. We got to X out these two things. They're too risky. No. And Kyle to say, okay, but there's no one to say no to the Niners, to Kyle in this organization. So I feel like the structure is never going to be conducive for him to go all the way. Now, but he's so good that he's never going to be a coordinator again. You know, I mean, he's just always going to be a head coach, and he's always going to get all the power, and he's always going to do whatever he's going to have say over everything. And I don't know that that's necessarily a good thing. He might be better off focusing, being in a strong organization that lets him just do the offense and pays him whatever. I mean, just go somewhere, be a coordinator, and get paid $15 million a year. Like, there's no cap. Who cares? Right. But stop pretending like you want to be Coach Shanahan. You want to be Kyle the coordinator. You know you do. You want to be liked. Head coaches sometimes can be unliked, and Kyle doesn't want to be unliked like that. He's the cool guy.
Here's what I'll say on Shanahan, and here's, in my opinion, you've highlighted a couple of problems. To me, his biggest problem has been the same problem that he's had throughout his entire tenure as a head coach. As an offensive coordinator, he was given Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was the guy. He didn't have to figure out the quarterback position. With San Francisco, he's had to figure it out, and in my opinion, in every step of the way, he has failed in figuring that out. In 2017, he made the move of trading for Jimmy Garoppolo when he could have waited for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins likely delivers you a Super Bowl. In 2020, instead of moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo to get Tom Brady after that Super Bowl year, you choose to stick with Garoppolo, a guy who had proven to be injury prone. You lose another Super Bowl chance then. And then in 2021, you don't seal the deal for Matthew Stafford. Instead, you trade 3 first-round picks for a commodity that you didn't start that year, sticking again with the injury-prone quarterback, and then failing to develop both your starting quarterback and developing Jimmy Garoppolo over this five-year tenure. To me, Kyle Shanahan's tenure with the 49ers is going to be dependent on, can he figure out the quarterback solution just once? One time, if he figures that out, he gets his job.
But here's the thing that's so crazy about the Kyle Shanahan story. So all that's true. And you're thinking, can he figure it out? Well, here comes like the football god. And he's like, no, Kyle can't figure it out. But I love Kyle. So I am going to deliver him Brock Purdy. You know, he thought Brock Purdy was going to be Nick Mullins. Turns out Brock Purdy's Joe Montana or whatever. So here you are. I'm a big Niner fan. I want Kyle to work out. Here's Brock Purdy. He lucked into the franchise quarterback. No, he's hurt. And he messed up his elbow and may never be the same again. It's like, Kyle, you lucked into it and you blew it. At least for now, I have questions. So, I mean, that's the thing that's crazy about Kyle. It's not just identifying it. He got lucky. He got lucked into the guy. But can you keep him healthy? He's been a coordinator, I think, for 15 years, going back to Houston. Very rarely does he end the season with the same quarterback he started it with. He just happens to go through guys every stop of the way. And to me, if that's his pattern, then he's just a guy with good ideas. You can't win a Super Bowl if you can't keep a quarterback healthy. And I know there's going to be certain injuries, but you can't. It's got to be like 2 weeks and then he comes back. It can't be constant season-ending injuries to your quarterback. Can't happen.
No, and that's exactly what I mean by Kyle Shanahan's tenure is going to be dependent on the quarterback. If he can figure it out just once, the 49ers are going to win a Super Bowl. That's the whole thing. He's done a phenomenal job in developing that roster with John Lynch to where you figure out the one solution, you're going to get it. In Houston, he had Matt Schaub. In Atlanta, he had Matt Ryan. That's where he saw this level of success that he solved, but he hasn't had that. He needs to develop the quarterback, and he hasn't done that. Now,
I mean, look at the success he had with Purdy. He's got to keep him healthy. He's got to keep him healthy. Yeah.
So to me, I think that's that one question. If he can not only develop the quarterback, get the correct quarterback, but keep him healthy, he's going to stay a 49er head coach for a long time.
As long as he wants. But at a certain point, I mean, after the 8th, how many more quarterbacks get hurt before Jed York's like, all right, man, quarterbacks are expensive. It's like the teenager being like, "Hey, Dad, man, that car you got me for Christmas, I love it, but I broke it. It's totaled. It's gone. Yeah, remember? No, it's gone. It's gone. Could I have another one? Thank you." And it's like Jed keeps saying, "Yes, absolutely, of course." At a certain point, you're like, "Dude, no, you're gonna crash it. You don't care at all. You're a bad driver." At what point do we just say Kyle's a bad driver? I want to know. True.
Yeah, and that's why also I think it's interesting. The 2025 timeline when Shanahan's contract expires, Coincidentally, it's also when Trey Lance's contract expires after the 5th-year
Ooh.
deal, and Brock Purdy's contract expires because he was not a first-round pick, so he doesn't get a 5th-year option. So
That's
it'll provide Jed York with the chance to move on at both the quarterback position, which has been the issue for the last 7 years, and the head coaching position at that time. But I do want to wrap up this this kind of session by asking you this. If Kyle Shanahan gets the Super Bowl, how does your tone change about him?
Oh my God. I would totally take back everything I said. I've said I think they can't win a Super Bowl with him. I think he's a high-level loser. I think they need to trade him now. I would apologize for all that. I would say, you know what? I was wrong about you. All those deficiencies that I felt were fatal flaws that you would never fix, you did. You matured. I give you credit. I was wrong. You were right. And I would say it with glee. I'd be happy to say that, but not until it happens. And not what happens is he'll be chugging along, 10-game winning streak, doing great, number 2 seed, and everyone jumps down my throat. It'd be like, Grant, you were wrong. Hey, are you gonna change? Are you saying you were wrong about Kyle Shanahan? Are you gonna say you were wrong? It's like, whoa, can we see how the season ends first, and then it ends like that? So what he needs to prove is at the very end of seasons. He's done it all. He's had 1 seeds, 2 seeds, top offenses, top defenses. You gotta finish the job. And when you do, if you do, I will say I was sorry for calling you Jim Harbaugh 2.0, man. That was wrong of me.
Yeah, and that would be funny. I really hope that moment happens, not only because
Me too.
I think Kyle Shanahan can get it, but also I want to see you eat your words because, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Whenever you've had to eat your words, you've done it with grace. That's something that
Happy to do
you
it.
do. Yeah. So
Happy to do
that
it, man.
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if that happens, but we got to talk.
I don't want the Niners to go into a long period of sucking. The Tom Sula years was not fun. Chip Kelly was not fun.
Right.
I don't want. I'm not sadistic. I want the Niners to win a Super Bowl. That's why I'm hard on Kyle Shanahan, because he hasn't won a Super Bowl. And I want him to. I freaking want him to. So when he does, I'll give him praise. I won't be like, well, you know what? That team was still the best team in the league, even though I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to pull a Brandon Ayuk. Love you, Brandon. I'm sorry. They were the best team in the league. They won the Super Bowl, but they got lucky. He was fortunate. I'm not going to do that.